Hi, everyone. Um, I'd like to share an experience that I had recently, and it's a little challenging for me to try to explain what happened. So forgive me if I kind of struggle to describe the experience. Um, this happened earlier this month, and I should preface it by saying that I don't belong to any religion. I did when I was growing up, and I left that faith. And for years and years and years, I was completely secular and materialist and completely shut off and shut down any spiritual aspect of myself. And actually, when I had my son, um, he began to awaken me, and so my understanding now um, of the of the of the being that we know as Jesus, as taught by the churches, um, as someone who is very distant and very far away and very different from us, and um, someone we are separate from and are completely separated from because we're just human, whereas he's divine, or uh, he is God, right? According to most, right? Like the Trinity and stuff. So so my my personal understanding is has a it is very different from that. And so I don't mean to offend, um and I don't and I don't mean to convince. I would just like to share my personal experience. And so my understanding of him currently um, is that he came to teach us who we really are, um, which is um, which is that we are like him, that he is, that the love that he is, we are as well. And as he said in his scriptures, in the scriptures, greater works than these you will do. And my understanding is that he uh, um, was trying to teach us that we are, that the essence of who we are is that same unconditional love that he was. So um, so I was following a guided meditation by a wonderful woman named Lori Ladd. And I have her book as well. Her book is called The Divine Design, and it really is divine. It's really fantastic, and I highly recommend it. Uh, and so I was following her guided meditation called something like Guided Meditation for Meeting Your Family of Light. And so one could interpret that to mean different things. meeting your angels or your guides or your loved ones, guardian angels, um, galactic beings, you know, etc. And so I didn't have, well, so I had been kind of seeking, because when you think about it, if we reincarnate, which I believe we do indeed, and we've had many past lives here on Earth, then it makes sense to it makes sense then that we've also had many lifetimes elsewhere as well, in different places. So I was vaguely expecting to see, you know, something or nothing at all, right? I really had no super whatever expectations, possibly maybe the uh something related to my very last galactic lifetime, or who knows, right? So she began the meditation and I was following along, and she said to imagine that your family of light were standing behind you, and she said to picture one of them walking around and coming up in front of you. And so uh, based on what I've been tapping into, let's say, I thought maybe I'm going to see, like Pleiadians or something, right? But, or someone from somewhere else, or nothing, right? And the person who stood in front of me, who walked around and stood in front of me, was not them. And I remember saying out loud, incredulously, I said, Yeshua? Like that. And what I saw was he had longish hair, which, by the way, I don't know that he had long hair or not. When I was growing up in my faith, they always portrayed Jesus as having very short hair. So, but the being I saw had longish hair, longish wavy hair, and where his face was, I just could only see golden light. And he was just very golden, and his sleeves were very wide around the wrists. And so I said, Yeshua? And I just somehow knew and understood that that was indeed who he was. And so then I believe, what did Lori say? Okay, so at one point she said, if you like, you could try to reach out and try to touch the being, right? And so And so I reached out like far, like, oh my gosh, like, to feel or not feel whatever I could. And then what happened was this. As I was reaching out my hands super far, like stretching them as far as I could, quickly, Yeshua grabbed both my hands and came right up close, right in front of me. And in doing so, he bent, both my elbows back down to my sides so that my hands were right in front. And both his hands were holding mine. His were underneath and mine were above. And his robes were hanging like this down from his wrists, right? Because they were wide. And I understood that what we are seeking and reaching for and hoping to connect with and wishing was there and straining to see if it's real or if it's true or if they're there, that we didn't have to strain and that he was always right here. And then a little later, Lori said, if you like, you could ask them a question. You could ask the being a question. And I thought, oh, right. I could ask questions. Like imagine you have Yeshua in front of you and you could ask him anything and he'll give you an answer. And so I thought, oh my gosh. And so I was super intrigued and super excited I was ready to do what I would expect myself to do, which is to start narrowing down like topics and ideas and themes of, what should I, and then, crafting like the perfect question that distills any, you know, wondering that I had about anything and to distill it into the perfect question and to ask Yeshua and to see what possible answer comes to me, what possible answer I could hear. But instead, what happened was, that my entire body felt overcome by the bubbling up of one question. And what I asked him was, how do I love you? And he said, by accepting my love for you. And it wasn't in words. It was more like I could hear it in my heart. And so actually the word accepting that he used was a combination of two words. It was a mix between accepting and receiving. And a couple minutes later, um, Lori said, she hadn't mentioned anyone specifically that people might see. She didn't say, you might see these people or these people. She didn't say any of that. She didn't name names or name, um, any star systems or galactics or anything like that. But then she suddenly said, if you feel the nudge that Jesus is with you, then trust that. And I was like, wow. uh, so, um, and funnily enough, is it funny? Interestingly enough, uh, a few days later, maybe a week later, Naomi Wolf published a Substack article about an experience that she had 14 years ago that all her friends have encouraged her, have advised her never to share. And a lot of what she described was similar to my experience. And so I guess, and who knows how many people have these experiences, similar ones, and they, are not comfortable sharing them. And it's such a shame because it is uncomfortable, and it is it is uncomfortable, and it is a little scary saying you're sharing your experiences. But the more we do, the more we can find others who've had similar experiences, and we can connect with each other more and understand more about our world. Because everyone's gonna, it doesn't have to be something like this where it's kind of like a, like a spiritual experience or a whatever. Just anything at all. I feel like the more we share and talk about what we know, what happened to us, then we can all learn more and raise our awareness and about the reality that we find ourselves in, and raise our consciousness, and in the end more and more understand that we really, really, truly are all one. And so I actually began to seek out that connection with Yeshua, and I continue to have these experiences every day for a few days. And then I actually ended up having an experience with Mary Magdalene. And so maybe describe that some time in the future. But which is all to say, we really often may feel that we are very, very, very alone. But it's never the case, and I think we are all beginning to remember that.